What happens when a nation's secrets are buried in consecrated ground? For generations, Ireland carried a silent, collective pain. It was a wound hidden in plain sight. A quiet understanding that something was deeply wrong within the walls of institutions meant to offer salvation. The stories were whispered, they were denied. They were dismissed as rumors or the bitter fabrications of the troubled. But you know, the truth has a way of refusing to stay buried. It seeps through the cracks of official narratives. It finds voice in the courageous few who dare to speak, even when no one seems to be listening. The weight of this silence crushed countless lives, leaving a legacy of trauma the country is still grappling with today. A stark reminder that what is unspoken can be as damaging as what is said. The silence was not accidental, it was constructed. Make sure to hit that subscribe button for more content like this. In the modern age, silence is shattered not by whispers but by keystrokes. The digital town square, social media, has become the primary arena where scandals are unveiled. Fast-moving news cycles, viral hashtags can ignite a firestorm in mere hours. An allegation surfaces, a headline is published, a post is shared. Almost instantly, a narrative takes hold. This is the echo chamber effect. Information, whether verified or not, is amplified as it bounces between like-minded individuals, reinforcing pre-existing beliefs and emotions. For institutions like the church, already wrestling with a legacy of mistrust, this new reality is a brutal one. There is no time to formulate a response. There is no room for nuance. Judgment is passed in the court of public opinion. On paper, many religious institutions appear to have robust systems for accountability. They have established internal mechanisms designed to police their own. We hear of synods, special assemblies where church leaders gather to deliberate on doctrine and discipline. There are diocesan review boards often composed of clergy and lay experts tasked with assessing allegations of misconduct. Many denominations have ethics committees, detailed codes of conduct that outline expected behaviors and consequences. These structures are presented as proof that the institution is capable of self-regulation. They are meant to be internal safeguards that protect the faithful and uphold the church's mission. They project an image of order, justice, and responsibility. However, the history of church scandals, particularly in places like Ireland, reveals a stark truth. These internal safeguards have often been little more than a house of cards. They collapsed under the weight of institutional self-preservation. The primary goal, time and again, was to protect the institution's reputation, not deliver justice for the victim. Speaking truth to power is never easy. It becomes exponentially more difficult when that power is seen as divinely ordained. Within many church structures, a steep hierarchy exists, placing bishops, priests, other religious leaders in a position of immense spiritual and moral authority. They are not just administrators, they are seen as shepherds of the flock, mediators between the divine and the congregation. This spiritual authority is a powerful tool for control. Parishioners are taught from a young age to respect and obey their religious leaders. Questioning a priest is not just questioning a man. For many, it feels like questioning God's chosen representative. When internal systems of justice fail, victims and society turn to secular law. This is where the church's shield of secrecy is tested by the sword of the state. The involvement of external legal systems, police, prosecutors, civil courts represents a fundamental shift in power. Suddenly, the institution is no longer the sole arbiter of truth. It is subject to subpoenas, search warrants, and the cross-examination of its leaders under oath. This process is often contentious, marked by a deep-seated tension between the church's desire to govern its own affairs and the state's duty to protect its citizens and uphold the law. For decades, the scales were tipped heavily in the church's favor, with law enforcement often deferring to religious authorities. This deference was rooted in the principle of religious freedom, a cornerstone of many democratic societies. The wall of institutional silence has not crumbled on its own. It has been cracked and breached by relentless pressure from the outside. In recent years, we have witnessed a seismic shift in legal frameworks and public expectations regarding church accountability. The deference that once shielded religious bodies from scrutiny has evaporated. It has been replaced by a demand for transparency and justice, reshaping the relationship between church and state. One major change: mandatory reporting laws in many jurisdictions. These laws require clergy to report suspicions to civil authorities. They also require other professionals who work with children to report. Reports now go directly to civil authorities, bypassing internal church hierarchy. This legal change responds to the failure of self-policing, shown in headlines and archives. It removes the reporting decision from bishops and church leaders. Making reporting a legal obligation with penalties broke the internal chain of command. That represents a profound loss of control for church leadership. They can no longer manage information or contain scandals internally. The decision to involve law enforcement is no longer theirs to make. Appointment of more laypeople to review boards. How can an institution begin to rebuild trust when the very foundation has been rotted by deceit? The path forward for churches is not easy. It cannot be paved with hollow apologies or superficial reforms. It requires a profound and painful cultural transformation. The first step must be radical transparency. Opening the archives, cooperating fully with civil authorities, publicly naming every individual credibly accused of abuse, regardless of their rank or status, ending secret settlements, ending non-disclosure agreements that buy the silence of victims. True accountability is not possible in the dark. It must be brought into the full light of day, no matter how ugly the truth may be. A crucial part of this transformation is dismantling the culture of clericalism. The church must abandon the mindset that separates clergy from the laity and protects its own at all costs. Empowering laypeople, giving them real authority on oversight committees and review boards, these bodies must be fully independent power to conduct their own investigations, power to make binding recommendations. Furthermore, robust protections for whistleblowers must be established. The priest who reports misconduct must be celebrated as a hero, not branded as a traitor.